Top of the world high in the Swiss Alps. We're at St. Moritz in the Serena Valley and ready for the second heat of race 7 of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a slightly overcast and very windy St. Moritz track where the conditions are not going to do what everybody expected. Welcome back for our Women's Bobsleigh second heat. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me Ben Coquel, and Ben, Stephanie Schneider of Germany in 3rd place, but she's got a real battle on her hands to try and hang on to this medal.
Yeah, this is a big second heat for her. I mean, Christine de Bruin of Canadian descent, of course, is just 400s behind her, and Martina Fontenay 700. So it's a tight battle, especially in a track like this. It's so long. I mean, that's really not very much.
But they are substantially behind our world and Olympic champion Mariama Yamanka. She lies in 2nd place. Pretty decent looking run for her. Stuff to tidy up, but she's 1900s behind the leader, Kaylee Humphries of the USA.
Well, and Kaylee's run wasn't the best run we've ever seen her have.
Yep.
And, you know, if she cleans that up, it's going to be real tough to catch her in the second heat.
Well, her last medal here was silver behind Alana Myers-Taylor 2017 with Melissa Lotholtz on the back of the sled. Alana watching from home, expecting the arrival of Baby T with ever-increasing anticipation, I think. Alana Myers-Taylor, the winner the last 4 years on this track. So Kaylee Humphries could keep that US winning streak alive. 1900s ahead of Yamanka, but then look at Schneider, 400s ahead of de Bruin, a further 300s ahead of Fontenay. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Misha McNeil, but she's in a battle with Cathy Bile and with Ying Qing of China. Then Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Laura Nolte are tied to the 100th of a second, 300s ahead of Sergeva, and only 7 ahead of Wai Ming Ming. So several tight battles. There is the horseshoe bar, and there are athletes warming up at the top of the track. Air temperature +1. I don't think I've ever been here where I've seen a positive temperature during the day. Normally a daytime high here in January, February is around -10, and the ice temperature is normally hovering around -10 or 12 as well. So very different conditions, but it's been like that all week. In training, it was sunny and fast and frosty. It was snowy, it was everything.
Well, and the most important condition to keep in mind is the wind.
Yeah.
And if that wind is blowing just right as you come through Horseshoe, you're going to be able to smell those bratwursts.
Yeah, and for the athletes for whom breakfast was like hours ago now, at least 2 hours ago, that's going to be a real problem. Wai Ming Ming of China will be our first led off, followed by Nadezhda Sergeva, and then the Thai Laura Nolte and Anne van Nieuwenhuis. Nolte had a shocking run down the first run, just hit about everything in sight. Ying Qing, Cathy Bile, Misha McNeil, there's that little battle shaping up. And then the battle for bronze, which has got to be Fontenay, de Bruin and Schneider. And the battle for gold, well, maybe Yamanka could tidy it up.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see these brakemen step up and drop the push a bit and you know, show their contribution to this whole thing.
Well, now there's a thing that we haven't thought about. Have you ever pushed off into a headwind in St. Moritz? I mean, lots of other treks, yes, Winterberg, absolutely always, but here, I don't think I've ever seen it this windy. Okay, ready for the second and deciding heat. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Martin Haven and Canada's Ben Coquel watching our first sled. Wai Ming Ming and Lu Chongyang, 12th in the first heat. Ooh, ran it long, and the driver dare not take her hands off the steering gear to get that brake handle in.
Yeah, and they did push 500s faster, so that's good to see. But that first king still managed to get him.
Gave it all away. She's got 400s to the sled in front, and another big skid there. Oh, and again, like in the first heat, rattled it through Snake 1 and Snake 2.
Yeah, and through Nash Dixon, she's probably taking a little peek at the big screen to see herself.
Yeah, big screen's there over Horseshoe, which is an intimidating view, even in a taxi, Bob, just rearing up in front of you. Now starting to pick up speed, really looking for 100 kilometers now off Horseshoe and down into the forest here. Trees all around you, over the track. That's a cracking moustache and beard combination. Wai Ming Ming. First heat, a 1:09.08. And speed at the bottom, 136.5 kilometers an hour, 109.68. So 6/10 slower than the first heat. Now, a lot of that will be legacy of that big skid off the zero curve before they're even settled into the sled.
Yeah, I mean, I can't overemphasize how important it is to come out of there straight, maintain your speed, and let it build through those initial two straightaways.
Now, as we always say at every track, you've got to get in and get down, and otherwise it just causes so many problems. Here, the front skidding away from her.
And I went and stood in the kink corner during the week and just watched sleds come through. Now, the coaches didn't ask me to do that.
Yeah.
I just did it on my own, and I didn't really learn anything about what to do. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
You're either going to come out of there crooked or you're not.
Yeah. But it's a great place to stand and watch bobsleds.
Oh, absolutely.
Great looking helmet on the head of Russia's Nadezhda Sergeva. Yulia Shokshweva back with her. The other two Russian sleds racing in Europa Cup yesterday in Innsbruck. Scoring fewer points than finishing this race, but it's coach's decision. 5:66 starts. Well, that's a couple of hundreds better than their first run, and they came out straight.
And her run wasn't particularly good last heat, so she's looking to, there is potential here for her to move up.
Yeah, her best run here saw her in 6th place in 2017, so being down in 11th is not ideal. However, still scoring more points than her teammates who were in Europa Cup. So Sergeva out of Sunny. And that's a much better looking Nash and Dixon. Just a little tap on the straight down towards Horseshoe, and that will put her offline. Doesn't get great height there, but does get triple numbers, 100 kilometers an hour. So that stage, diving off Horseshoe, you're already doing 62 miles an hour. By the bottom, you'll be doing 85 miles an hour.
Yeah, and hopefully she can get into the 138s.
Oh, skiddy and taps down the straight and takes some speed away. Got to be clean out of Portago, the final corner, 4600s up, so a 109.26. Again, her first heat, 109.04. We saw this yesterday morning in the men's skeleton race, which was first off. Nobody matched their first heat time. The track actually didn't get faster, it got slower.
And that is so rare here.
Yeah, doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen. Well, again, a couple of errors. That one down to the straight pushes her over to the left. That's great for skeleton because it sends you up to the roof, but in a bobsled, you have to steer harder. Watch the runner tips, steering it off the corner there, trying to get that slingshot effect.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess with the clouds, keeping the sun off the track, it's just not heating it up. What
happens when the sun comes out? The microsurface of the track starts to warm up, and it's less sticky. Next up, Lara Nolte and Anne Kristenstrack. Now, Lara Nolte in a tie with Anne van Nieuwenhuis. Lara's had 4 World Cup races in her career. She's been on the podium in each of them. And again, a skid, but a new start record, 5:44. So that's the fastest getaway of the day. Again, that skid off the zero curve,
She had good speed out of the push, but you have to think that skid out of the zero curve is going to zap it.
Yeah. Well, let's see if she can be the first to improve on her first heat. It's actually looking less untidy. She got a tap here. She gets another one, little nudge away into Nash and Dixon. And again, skids in Dixon. And I wonder if the fat runners are not the good call today. She's not brave on the height there either. I don't think she trusts the front of this sled to go where she wants it.
And 99.7 is not what she's looking for.
No. So the gap over Sergeva was out to half a second. It's not too far away. 1:15.2. Is that right? Down at the bottom, fastest speed, 136.5. She's quicker than the Chinese sled, so she will stay ahead of Sergeva. First heat was a 109.01, 108.7. That's better.
That is what we're used to seeing in the second heat.
Well, 2900 is better than her first heat, but I think she needed to be 7 or 8 tenths better than her first heat to be where she's used to being. But again, she's had such a happy honeymoon coming in here with medals every race so far.
Yeah, and it's probably your first time here racing on the World Cup, and I mean, she's just letting it run, and it obviously looked a little bit skiddy today, and it, you know, the fat runners was probably a contributing factor to that.
Yeah, I think she could have definitely done with narrower runners just to give her a little bit more control. Doesn't look like the track's going to warm up. Lots of skids.
But we'll see how it goes with Anne, because they're actually tied after the first heat. So
yeah. And again, Lara Nolter, look at the big smile on her face. She doesn't care. Raced here in the Junior Worlds. She was the under-23 world champion, so she's very happy with that. Next up, Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Sarah Ertz of Belgium. She'll be beating me up later when she calls the men's race for mentioning that she was Dutch earlier on. Not that she is, I'm just confused. Me age. Now, safely off there, 5.66, so gives away 2200s at the start. But what speed she had, she keeps on board, so she's got better velocity.
Well, and she was straight.
Yeah.
And that's really important, and we're going to be looking to see her just build speed through the track.
And that's why in a drag race, you don't see the winners going sideways off the line, because sideways isn't forward. So now what can she find? 4700s back, all gets nudged away into Nash and Dixon and gets double taps going in and halfway through. Now,
pretty high in parallel through there.
Yeah, but still down on pace. 98.8, not 100 kilometers an hour. Still half a second back and more. Lara Nolter was pretty clean down here. Anne's going to have to be perfect at the bottom of the track. Wind blowing the shades all over the place. Ooh, just about. Top speed 137, she's 136.7, so she's not going to close. And at the line, she is 2 places back. So that's not the run she wanted. 109.54, half a second slower than her first heat. Well, she wasn't pleased after the first heat. She will definitely not be pleased after that one either. Nobody likes to give away even 1 place.
Yeah, she fell behind Sarajevo, who had a much better second heat.
Well, again, that's where the errors started creeping in. Big skids down into Nash and Dixon. And just see that being forced up the wall, hits in the middle. And here in Horseshoe, she's brave on height.
The track is clear.
Down into Telephone, a little late onto Telephone, and that means she's late into Shamrock and Devil's Dyke as well. Not the 2 runs she wanted. Next up is Ying Qing of China with Du Jinya, her brakewoman.
5.63 on the first heat, maybe 5.60, that's my guess.
And she had 900s in hand over Lara Nolter, and that big skid, and again, she doesn't get the push bar in either. So she's giving away speed at the start, and she had a skid as well. 4th sled, only the 4th velocity.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the top of this track is so important, so you can let it fly down low, and if you're skidding in the kink, it's gonna hurt.
It's almost the most important corner on the track, because you can give away everything that you've worked so hard for as you sit down.
Right, and people say speed out of Horseshoe is the most important, but how do you get that? Well, you need to be clean at the top.
Yeah, if you've bled away your speed before, you don't have it later on. 98.8, so same as Anne van Nieuwenhuis. Second fastest at the moment, 4 tenths behind Lara Nolter. Don't think Lara's going to make it up into the medals today, but she may well end up inside the top half dozen. Decent run down the straight from the Chinese sled, and they're getting good numbers in terms of speed. She's only the 5th fastest though, and again, that's all coming right from the top of the track. So Lara Nolter on the right there, and Kristen Strack on the left, still in your leader's box. Lara Nolter's brakewoman and Kristen Strack, 2 wins, 3 bronze medals in her braking career, all won with Stephanie Schneider. So she spent most of her time, and Kristen, with Stephanie Schneider, but she's with Lara Nolter this weekend. Well, here again, coming down towards Horseshoe, you do not want to be skidding and skating with this big corner sitting in front of you. No time to look at the big screen. She climbs high. And they're doing what Pierre Luders, the coach, is telling them, use the height. But unfortunately, too many skids on the way down. Lara Nolter leads after our 5 first sleds. Kati Bile of Austria with Jennifer Onosanya, 7th in the first heat.
Looking to push about 564.
Only 300s out of the top 6, so they're in a tight battle as well. 5:59, so that's 700s quicker than their first run.
Hey, congrats to her, Brakeman. That's big time to drop it like that.
Yep. That's not always easy. Well, one of the things that happens as the temperature picks up a little bit is there's less frost in the start grooves, so second heat starts tend to be a little less friction on the sled.
Absolutely.
And when we're talking about tiny fractions like hundredths of a second, the athletes can really make a difference. Well, she started in front of Lara Nolta, but now 2900s back, heading down to Horseshoe, medium-low line. Gets a good exit, but 2K shy. The gap's going to grow, isn't it?
It sure is.
Again, like in the first heat, the lines are good. And you can see where everyone else's sled has been, can't you? The lines on this track are so clear to see.
Yeah, and this track tends to do that. She is clean down at the bottom here.
Yeah, had decent speed, but it's not going to be enough to overhaul Lara Nolta. Nolta's still going to be the leader. She rattles across the line, 2300s back. And again, 109.11. Her first heat was a 108.85. So that's over a quarter of a second slower. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to put all this down to the track. I think it's just the vagaries of this track. You get so little time on it every year. It changes every year. It's changed every day in terms of track conditions. It's really tough to learn. It's a little tap away there again into wall and down on the straight. You see the back starting to break away. So, Kati Bile in second, and Lara Nolta and Kristen Strack still the leaders as we get to our top 6 sleds from the first heat. Misha McNeil and Montel Douglas, and they had a 1900s of a second advantage over Lara Nolta. So the two Brits are going to need to produce a big run here to stay in the top half dozen.
Yeah, and they need to stay in the green out of the kick. We haven't seen that done yet, so.
Oh, tiniest of taps with the wall again. The driver almost has to think the sled away. And very occasionally, particularly when it's so quiet, the driver will just try and nudge it with the shoulder. And you think, no, how can that make a difference? It's on ice. Think how easily things slide on ice. Well, 1800s back. Not too bad out of Snake. Let's see if she comes straight off Sunny. Just a little slide into Nash and Dixon, but that's better than her first heat.
Yeah, if she gets good height here, she could actually good speed out of
All right, not right up by the word work. Little heavy onto Telephone, through Shamrock, Devil's Dyke. Gap's coming down, 1000s back, but she only had 98 kilometers an hour. Little flop there off Nameless. This is going to be close for a top 6 finish for Misha McNeil with Lara Nolta. She needs 137 at the bottom. I'm not sure she's got it. How close will she be at the line? In the green, no. 3200s back. That's a big loss of time further down the track. So a 109.23 compared to a 108.82, 4/10 slower than her first heat. And again, in other tracks where the artificial track refrigeration isn't keeping the ice alive, maybe, but here you almost never go slower than your first heat.
No, and I mean, Nolte was off 5 sleds ago.
Yeah.
It's definitely not an advantage to be off earlier, so this is unusual.
And just a little extra height there, couple of errors creeping in, but nothing that looked dramatically 3/10 worse. However, they lie in third place now behind our current leader as we get into the battles for the medal. However, having said it was going to be about Fonteneve, De Bruyne and Schneider, I'm not sure we can count out Lara Nolta. Here's Switzerland's hope, though, Martina Fonteneve.
Yeah, this is where the battle for the medals start.
Oh, and a little tap on the wall. So 5:53 gives her a lead as she sits down. But look at that, only the 4th fastest velocity. So by the time she gets to Horseshoe, she's going to need to have driven really well.
It definitely hurt her, but how much?
Yeah. And it catches up with you, doesn't it? All the way down the track, it gradually, the effect magnifies. You can see some of the men's drivers out watching. That was Frenchman Roman Heinrich. And all the coaches are now going, what on earth is going on with this track? What can we expect for the men's race?
Yeah, and you would hope that, you know, having 24 women's sleds go down will even the ice out for the men's race. But
they're going to have to guess their runner choices now based on what they're looking at from the women's race. Well, here we go, 1:14.5. It's not as quick as we've seen from Laura Nolte. She's still in the lead. Will she be in front? Only 6th fastest at the bottom. She had a quarter of a second down the straight. Is she in front? Yes. So holds on. So Laura Nolte is out of the leader's box. And a 1:08.88 compared to 1:08.59. Again, 3/10 slower than her first heat, but she has the lead. Is that enough for a first medal for Martina Fonteneve? She was 5th last year. She will be no worse than 5th today.
Well, and she did move in front of Laura Nolte, but she lost 2/10 to her on the run. So
yeah,
we'll see how that fares for De Bruyn, who's coming up next.
Well, wasn't the greatest load from brakewoman Nadia Pasternak. Didn't break loose though, so. And not a bad-looking drive. Well, there's Martina. Oh, I'm not sure she knows which way this is going to go. I'm glad of that. Let's see what happens next, because it's always good to have a bit of anticipation. So, for Canada, Christine De Bruyn and Kristen Bujnowski. So what are they going to produce? First heat, a 5.60.
And I know Bouge is going to step it up, so I'm excited to see what this time ends up being.
But the critical thing is to get through the kink 0 without a skid or a tap. And she has a tap, and then it skids down the straight, 5.52. This is a shot at the medals for the Canadians.
3rd fastest speed, so hopefully she can hang on to that.
All right, so the advantage as she sat down was just 400ths. Fonteneve, De Bruyn, and the next sled, Schneider, were in a battle covered by just 700ths. It's literally breathing in the wrong place that makes a difference now.
Okay, 100 there.
Oh, a little skid off Sunny. Tap in Nash and Dixon. Oh, and that's not what she needed on the way down to Horseshoe. Big height. Where's the speed? 98 kilometers an hour. The gap is out to a 1/10 of a second behind Martina Fonteneve. Now she's smooth and fast at the bottom. Let's see where she gets to. 1:14 is good speed. Fastest sled of Laura Nolte, 1:37. High 36s, 4th fastest. Not sure she's got enough speed at the line. Will she be in the leader's box? She's not. So Martina Fonteneve moves 1 step closer. She's now going to record her career best result in St. Moritz. 5th last year was her best up until now. In fact, 5th last year, 5th in 2018 rather, for Martina Fonteneve here, has been her best ever World Cup result. So 4th place guaranteed. That will be her best ever. Christine and Kristen in 2nd at the moment.
Yeah, Nash Dixon was.
It's odd. All the drivers have been saying, because of Wall being shaped differently, Wall, Snake, Sunny, Nash and Dixon, if you get through those clean, the rest of the track is pretty okay. Christine there found a little bit of Wall nudging her offline into Horseshoe. So she's in 2nd place ahead of Laura Nolte by 100th. And 3 to go. Stephanie Schneider and Leonie Fiebig in the medals after the first heat, but their lead over Martina Fonteneve just 700ths of a second. She does need a big run here.
Yep.
Wow, huge start. Leonie Fiebig, the Cologne athlete on the back of the sled, helping her to a 5.40 start record.
And a great speed at 110 meters. So.
And look, she's tucking her head down there. Yeah, I know where I'm going. And you think, why are they bothering? Because she might win a medal by 100th, and that's where 100s come from. Twice on the straight, she ducked her head down out of the airstream. So there is a driver who really thinks all the time, and she's really neat, but very late off Dixon. Clatters it all the way down into Horseshoe, low in Horseshoe. Big take on onto Telephone and on Shamrock. And it was all going so well into Nash and Dixon.
But does she have enough time?
Still 3/10 up. And her speed is really no better than anybody else around her. It's her or Martina Fontenev for the lead and for the medals. Shockingly low speed at the bottom, but surely she's got enough. No, she hits going into Portago and across the line. Oh, unbelievable.
That was a fun one to watch.
Wow. Not for her. That's video she won't want to watch back again in a hurry. You know, there's Kirst, the commentator, praised her for doing all the right things in a really slow part of the track, getting her head out of the way, no skids, no mistakes. And then here, look at this, off Dixon. I've never seen anybody crash off Dixon. That's the closest you'll get.
And as a brakeman, you kind of wonder, I don't remember feeling that in the first one.
Well, she didn't get great height there either. And then as she dived out, she came out early, brought it down hard into Telephone and Shamrock. There's Leonie. Okay, they're in the medals. So Stephanie Schneider leads with 2 to go. Schneider, bronze 2 years ago, silver last year, ahead of this woman, Mariama Yamanka. So they've had a silver and a bronze each in the last 2 seasons. Yamanka in second place, shooting for gold. Skiddy, 5:51. I think they were 700s quicker than their first heat, but Kira Lipperheid, I think they were maybe trying to be cautious going into that zero kink, and she still drove it wrong.
Yeah, it's a big skid. She's going to have to make up for it through wall.
Well, the real danger is that Stephanie Schneider was so clean here that Yamanka can't afford any mistakes now, and she can't afford any further down either. If she gets out of Nash and Dixon clean, no, skids down the straight a little, she's still in the red.
A little more height.
99, 1 more kilometre now than Schneider's 98. Now this might be to the 100th of a second between the two of them.
Yeah, she's gaining time.
Yeah, 1:15, Schneider had 1:14s. But again, little rattly in the quick stuff. Does she rub the wall going into Martineau? Third fastest, this should be enough. She's still in the red, coming out of Portago. At the line, she hits the wall again by 100th of a second. That's ridiculous.
That is wild stuff. Wild stuff, Martin.
She was 900s ahead. She gave away 800s in the run to win it by 100th over her teammate. So she is the leader with 1 to go.
She got some nice height through Horseshoe, though, and she had good speed coming out of there. Well, and at the bottom.
She was lucky to get squared up there nicely so she could actually drive it onto Horseshoe. Watch the runner tips. Where does she start the steer? Right there. Just bringing it down into Telephone. Again, she's a little left there coming off. Quite a heavy take onto Horseshoe. Well, she's got a big smile on her face. Equal best result, silver medal here. She's never won a race. In fact, nobody since 2015, other than Alana Myers-Taylor, has won a race here. She's won the last 4 straight. Lauren Gibbs has had 2 gold medals here in US sleds with Alana in the 2015-16 and 18-19 season. Can she win a 3rd gold here with a different driver? Kaylee Humphries, the leader, by 1900ths. Just gets in and just avoids the tap. 5:54. Okay, now she needs to clean up a couple of the errors from the first heat and take this all the way to the line.
And I'm sure Alana's watching her. They're not just teammates, but they're friends, and they train in the off-season, and she's definitely rooting for her.
It's been really interesting to see the bond between them now that they've been friends before, but they've been in different teams. Now actually the rivalry will be more intense because they'll be in the same team. Looking good here.
Real
Gaps,
good,
Gaps almost out to what it was in the first heat. 1900s at the line. Not the biggest height you'll ever see in Horseshoe, but a nice safe landing. 99.3, 2200s in front, only a fraction faster than Yamanka. I think Lara Nolta had the fastest speed there, and Nadezhda Segova both at 100 kilometers an hour. 1:15, that's good enough. Kaylee Humphries is going to win here for the first time since 2014. 6 years since she's last claimed gold, and victory for Kaylee Humphries, her 4th win of the season for the USA. Kaylee Humphries claims her first win in St. Moritz in 6 years, and her first here for the USA. That's 5 straight US wins on this track, and only Germany in this last 2 decades has won more at a stretch.
Yeah, and a killer second run for Kaylee.
Yeah.
Like we've seen so many times before.
Cleaned it all up.
Yeah.
That is career win number 26 for Kaylee Humphries. Her 125th World Cup start. And if you wonder why they look so exhausted, it's because we're 2,000 meters up, and even walking up the stairs in the hotel catches your breath. So Kaylee Humphries, Lauren Gibbs. Kaylee just slipped getting in there. That was close. That could have been a disaster.
Yeah, but she kept her straight out of the kink.
Yeah. And she got a tiny tap on the way down to Horseshoe. Didn't phase her. When you've been racing here for 15 years, you kind of know the niggles, right?
That's right.
And for Kaylee Humphries and Lauren Gibbs, well, for Kaylee, win number 4 of the season in race number 7. She is looking as strong as ever. Had a year off the ice last year. Does great things for your mind, but the worry always when you come back is, can I still remember how to do this? Apparently, yeah, she can. Mariama Umanka, Stephanie Schneider, silver and bronze, as they were 2 years ago in that order, in the reverse order last year. Martina Fonteneva, a career high 4th place, ahead of Christine de Bruyn and Lara Nolter. And then the rest of our finishing order. So, heart in the mouth stuff there for all of our sleds in St. Moritz. So, now, we saw all the drivers at the side of the track, Ben. You know, your teammates going to be up the top.
Mom, Dad. Shall be doing his stuff. I love you. Hi, Alana and Nick. Happy baby shower.
Oh, is it baby shower weekend? All right, we are getting close then. It's Alana and Nick, her husband. And Nick proposed to her at the end of the race weekend. Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
That's right.
That's
right,
yeah. Right here, down at the finish. Well, if you're going to do it somewhere, choose somewhere beautiful.
Place, that's right.
You know, and the two of them were bonded by ice, so I guess the Caribbean island beach was out of the question for him. Matthias Höfner there, the coach, one of the coaches of the German setup. But what are they going to do? I mean, what's the takeaway from this? It's going to be interesting, you know, when you go back up to the top and talk to Justin, what are they thinking the track is going to do? Because nobody went quicker than their first heat. That's wrong. Everybody always goes quicker than their first heat here because you start early, it's frosty, it gets faster later. That hasn't happened. So is it a soft track? Is it actually slowing down? Is the wind making it frost up? I mean, you know, it's going to be a gamble, isn't it? More than usual.
Yeah, I mean, your runners are prepped, so
yeah.
Your choice is your choice at this point. And I know Justin, you know, he won't be thinking about that too much. He'll be thinking about what he can do.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the drive. And I'm sure he's watched some of these runs, and he's got a feel for that first kink, and you know, obviously how Wall is pushing people out.
Yeah. Well, that's a valid point. It's not like Formula One or IndyCar where you have 7 different tyre compounds all heated up and ready to go on the car. You'll have spent hours polishing the runners all night last night or half the night last night. Yeah. And everybody will have made their choices already, so yeah.
But some people may have prepped 2 sets. That's possible, but still, how do you decide?
St. Moritz in Switzerland, penultimate race of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Kaylee Humphries claims her 4th win of the season and extends her championship advantage over Stephanie Schneider. The Olympic champion Mariama Umanka, the world champion, is in 3rd place ahead of Christine de Bruyn of the Netherlands and Nadezhda Sergeva of Russia in 5th spot in a tight battle with Katrin Beil of Austria. Well, the penultimate race of the women's regular season, showing again that Kaylee Humphries has not forgotten how to drive this track. Might have been 6 years since she last won. Ben Coquel, she pulled out all the stops today.
Yeah, and you know what? It was awesome to watch this race. You know, Kaylee's first year back after some time off, and it's obvious that it was like riding a bike for her.
Yeah.
She went with the BTC today, and it was quick.
Adventurous year for her last year. She got engaged, got married, changed nations, found a whole new bunch of teammates, and the mojo was still there. And a lot of athletes say, you know, having a year away after the relentless grind of being on the road just allows you to do different things with your mind, and you come back fresh and ready to do it again. And that's exactly what it's proved. And here in St. Moritz, just what a wonderful place to win. So Alana Mars-Taylor, the winner for the last 4 years. Kaylee is carrying the flag now for the two of them as US teammates. And we head to our final race weekend 2 weeks from now in Sigulda in Latvia. Now, that's a real driver's track as well. So expect to see all these three drivers in the hunt for the medals there, plus now Laura Nolter, the third of our German drivers. But there's your podium on the right, on the far right, Stephanie Schneider. There's Mariami Amanka, and in the centre, Kaylee Humphreys, and Mum Cordon Rouge Champagne for the champagne thrill of winter sports. That's your podium here in St. Moritz. Next time out, a very different view, a very different track for the season finale in Sigulda in 2 weeks. My thanks to Ben Coakwell for joining me in the booth. I'm Martin Haven on behalf of the IBSF TV crew. Thank you to you for joining us as well. Don't forget, the two-man race comes up at 1300 local, midday, 1200 GMT. We'll see you then. Until then, bye for now.